Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to get started. So I'd like to request a motion to call the meeting to order.
I'll make that motion as stated, Mayor. Councilmember Bowles.
Councilmember Hardy, I'll second that motion. I'll step back as well because that was loud.
Okay, so I'll take a vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Great, so I am calling the meeting to order. Thank you very, very much. Before we get started, I'd like to ask the commander of the American Legion in Colmar Manor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise. Thank you. And I'd also like to request a moment of silence. I was reminded of this today at MML. So many of you might know Mr. Harrington, Mr. David Harrington. He was a very good person who lived in the area and did a lot for the community. I didn't personally know him, but what I do know was that he was very involved in the building of this town hall, I believe. Is that correct? And he was the first mayor of Bladensburg, right? The first African-American mayor of Bladensburg. And he not only worked in Bladensburg, but he had a very big effect on all the neighboring towns. And he was also instrumental in the port town's creation, correct? He passed away in September. So I'd like to request a couple seconds of silence for him and his family. All right, thank you. So we have an agenda tonight, but there are some things that we need to adjust on the agenda. What I'd like to add to the agenda after we approve the agenda is, are we still swearing in Mr. Oden? Oh, so we'll just hold until they arrive? Okay, we may need to call an executive session over a personnel issue. So I'll hold that till the end of the meeting, if that works. We have so basically on the agenda, if you have a copy of it, talking about past and upcoming events, I'll open it up for resident and public comments. I'm asking everyone to just have a time limit of 3 minutes, if possible. We'll also go into the committee and community group reports. I'll give a quick mayor's report. We'll do an overview and approval of town minutes. I'll ask the council to give their reports. We'll ask the staff to report out. I'll then open it again for resident and public comments. And then we'll take a look at old business and new business. All right. Is the agenda approved? Do I need to request a approval of the agenda? A motion?
I'll move to approve the changes as stated by the mayor. Councilmember Bowles.
Councilmember Mendoza, and I'll second that.
Great. So Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Great. Mayor votes aye. So past and upcoming events, just as an FYI, this was going to be part of the my mayor meeting, my mayor report out. But I want to thank everyone who helped us for the Hispanic Heritage Breakfast that we hosted and all the local mayors and officials that attended, as well as Delegate Fennell, who lives in our town. We also had a salsa party here. Who came to the salsa party? Did you have a good time? Okay, so I believe we might try to do it again. It was a lot of fun. We also, the Hispanic Outreach Committee hosted a celebration last Friday. So I wanted to thank everyone that organized that. I thought it was really, really nice. The chief organized coffee with a cop, which was a lot of fun. So it was nice to have coffee and a donut with the police. And then some of the upcoming events that we have are on the 15th, which is a Saturday. This coming Saturday, we're going to have a cleanup / beautification of our town. So if you're interested, please, please, please reach out to Malik, Council Member Malik from Ward 1, or resident Phil. Raise your hand, Phil. Please reach out to him to get involved. It should be a lot of fun. I believe you get community service hours. Great. We also have a pizza youth summit. So we want the youth to tell us what they want to see in their community. So I'm asking the parents to bring your child to a pizza youth summit because we want to hear what they want to do in our community. And I also would love to start a youth council for Colmar Manor. So we're going to talk about that, and I hope that the kids can make it out. On the 24th of October, we are going to be having a candlelight vigil for a Jamaican figure. His name is Paul Bogle. So Paul Bogle, actually, Mr. Harding, can you describe Paul Bogle and the event?
Yes. So Paul Bogle is a national hero of Jamaica. In the 1800s, he led a rebellion in Morant Bay that led to, well, it was the catalyst of legislation that helped to free slaves inside of Jamaica. And on October 24th, we're going to join in a global-wide event of candlelight vigiling at Larcy Park, right next to the KFC.
So please consider coming. Oh, what time?
6 o'clock, sorry.
And just to entice people to come, which you should already be enticed by that public figure, but I might have beef patties.
Our mayor's a legend.
So please come out. If you don't know anything about him, come out and learn more. If you do know about him, please come. And then on the 29th of October, we have a Halloween party. So we're looking at possibly having a parade in town starting at 3:30. And then at 5 o'clock, we'll end up here and we're going to have a Halloween party with games, and we're asking everyone to come in their costumes. So it should be a lot of fun. So that's it for past and upcoming events. I'd like to now go ahead and open this up for resident or public comments. So if you'd like to make a comment, please step up to the podium. And if you're on Zoom, just raise your hand. Okay, I believe Councilmember Bowles had a comment that he wanted to read from someone.
Good evening. I received a letter from a constituent in my ward, former Mayor Julianne Bethay, who resides at 4206 Monroe Street, Colmar Manor. And on the matter of voter expansion, she wanted me to read this for her because she's been on travel in Africa and has been unable to attend the public meeting on this issue and will not be able to be here this evening. So I'm reading her words. She says, I am a resident of 4206 Monroe Street, Colmar Manor. This letter's purpose is to oppose giving the privilege to vote to undocumented residents living in Colmar Manor. Voting is a birthright in America. To vote in the USA, you must be citizens, 18 years of age, and meet the resident requirement where you live. If undocumented residents want to vote, they should apply for citizenship and become citizens. Those are her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody want to make a comment? Anybody on Zoom want to?
Yeah,
It could be about anything.
Good evening. My name is Ana Palma. I live in Ward 4, right? My question about this voting, if we give the right to the occupant of the house the actual address, the living person to vote, are you going to also allow the owner of the property to vote too? It had been passed that owners don't live here. They live in Bowie, they live in Mitchellville, they live outside the town. But anytime that is election time, they're here to vote for people that just because they're my buddy or because they kiss each other, but they are squat citizens. Okay, they don't even know how to speak to people, how to treat people, but those kind of people have been sitting on that chair, holding the town hostage. I used to be very active in this town, but those kind of people, really, they fumigate me easily because, I don't deal with that situation. But that's one of my real concerns. Because as it is, we got rentals in this town that they have 3 families living in there. They have one in the first floor, one on the attic, and they have one in the basement. Places that are not even legal to rent. People, are renting rat holes in this kind of houses, and right there you got, I don't mind if they are, if they live in the town and they contribute to the town of taxes, paying taxes, consuming whatever it is, I'm not immigration, so I'll let immigration handle that situation. But if we're talking about elections within the town, my concern is that, because even if you are the owner of the property and you live in Mitchellville, you should have no right to come to Colmar Manor and vote for nothing. Because since you move out of this town, it doesn't make you a citizen of Colmar Manor. But it's done, it's happened all the time, and that is not legal. To me, that is the worst scenario you can give me. I would rather have those 3 illegal families voting than those rightful owners that they think that the town stinks and that's why they move out. They should have no right at all. And that's my comment.
Thank you. That's a good question, Mr. Barr. Is there anything that you can share in regards to that statement?
Yes, if you are it's the question of residency. Where are you resident? If someone is resident, living in is what we normally think of as resident. It's a complicated question. Who is and who is not a resident of a particular place? My feeling has always been that where you live is where your residence is. Again, once we pass this, we can, consider this matter. The mayor and council can decide on this particular issue. It's easy enough to say they can or they can't. It's easy enough just to leave the ordinance as it is and let the official who has the responsibility of creating and maintaining the list of municipal voters in the town. So it's a good question. It's a very thoughtful question. And that's something that the mayor and council will have to decide as we pursue this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barr.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and clarify, just so you know what's in the actual resolution. The charter amendment resolution states that it's only 18 years old or older on or before the date of the town election who does not claim voting residence or claim the right to vote in another jurisdiction. So they can't be registered anywhere else, and has maintained a residence in the town for a period of 6 consecutive months. So it does not state property owner specifically. There is a town in Maryland that does actually state property owner, This resolution does not. Not, they have to live there for 6 months consecutively. No, this is the new resolution that's in tonight's agenda. Yep.
May I
That's a
ask
good
a question though, with regard to those folks, like what Ms. Palm is pointing out? If someone owns a house here and they've registered themselves here, even if they live somewhere else, if we're asking only that they prove their residency by a bill or something, then they can do that. They have a mortgage. So like, how do we establish that they are not actually living here? It's an
So-
interesting question to have to talk about, because if they are the homeowner and they keep their license here and they have a bill, then how do we fight
So
that?
that's a very common concern in elections in general, even for citizen voting in federal elections.
Right.
There is a state, I believe it's either a court ruling or it was an attorney general's ruling I found in the research up to tonight. But there is a Maryland state opinion over this in regards to Ocean City. They had an issue with vacation rental or vacation homeowners who are not occupants of Ocean City on a regular basis that came in and registered for a specific election because of an issue that was brought up over property. And it is legal for them to do that. So basically one spouse out of the couple or one owner of the property could register at that residence. They have the right to do that.
So I'd also like to say hello to Mayor Rocio. Mayor Rocio, can you stand up? So this is the mayor of Brentwood. So if you have not met her, Mayor Rocio is the first Hispanic mayor in the state of Maryland, the first Hispanic mayor of the town of Brentwood. Okay, so I see that Mr. B has a comment as well.
Yes, can you hear me? Hello? So I guess I'm in favor of this change, and I think that yeah, the citizenship, et cetera, legal status, those are all policies set at the federal level, and I don't think that they should have any bearing on what we do in the town. It doesn't matter to me whether my neighbor, what their legal status is, as far as whether I'm interested in trying to get them involved and elicit their opinions and in trying to get the town to be a better place. I want to get feedback and input from as a wide swath of the residents as possible. Turnout is already pretty low relative to the number of eligible voters currently. So I don't think, like, practically it's not, strictly speaking, not that big a deal if the current people who are eligible to vote are not really voting very frequently. So certainly people who are not resident in town, I think the law is pretty clear. Like, you have to be a resident for 6 months. And if you present a bill saying you have a mortgage there and you're trying to claim that you live there, but you don't, you're breaking the law. Whether we're able to try to catch people who do that, that's really hard to do. But I think hopefully they go and register to vote at their own in their own municipality where they live. And I think that would be a better thing, and that the people who live in Colmar Manor should vote in Colmar Manor, including whatever their federal legal status. So anyway, I am glad that this is moving forward. I thank Council Member Malik Harding for speaking up when this came up last, and glad we've been working towards it, and certainly respect and want to hear opinions from you, even people who are against this, or but I haven't heard any great arguments for it, other than that they think that their rights are somehow being eroded or taken away, which is not the case. It's being extended to a wider swath of other people. And I think whenever you hear an argument that giving additional rights to one group of people takes away the rights of some other more privileged group of people, I think you should, what, that something is, that it's all about like personal standing and personality and who's the favored people and who's not the favored people. And it's nothing to do with policy. I think as a policy matter, our home values are going to go up if we adopt this measure, and for good reason, because we'll become a better town for it. It'll make it a more pleasant place to live. And so that's why I favor this measure. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Joy, you have a comment?
Hi. Yeah, I have a I'm sorry, I have a question. What does this entail? Like, what does this, if it's voted in for non-citizens to have these rights, what does that mean? Like, I understand that you say, okay, they have to be 18 years old, they have to live in the town consecutively for 6 months, but then again, just as Mr. B stated, how is that supposed to be proven? But I think the thing is, this is trying to be pushed, but it has never been an explanation of what this entails. Like, you want us to vote, but there's no explanation surrounding what are we voting for if they have this, like, what does it entail?
So it entails expanding the vote to anyone who's 18 years of age or older and who has lived in the town for at least 6 months, regardless of their immigration status. That's what it entails. So other towns, the way that they've done this is they've established their own board of elections. So we can either go down that route. In the resolution, we actually have a proposal where we kind of appoint someone to be the overseer of elections in the future. And this can all actually be changed and formed and formalized, but that's what it would entail. So the way that you would vote is you'd have to come to the town hall, you'd register to vote in the local election. You'd have to prove that you've lived in the town for at least 6 months. And you would do that by providing a bill.
So towards voting for like policies of the town and things of that nature, essentially, or?
Yeah, so if you live
Okay.
here and you have an issue with one of your council people because you feel like they're not doing enough in your ward to address crime, to address health, to address potholes, then you have the right to vote for an elected official. If you have something like a gas station that's being proposed in our town, then you have a bunch of people here. Let's say I was in favor of a gas station and we put it to vote. Then you have people that are able to vote on that, either for it or against it. So it's voting for your elected officials, voting for anything that we put forth to a vote in our town.
And giving those rights to those who are not citizens is essential. I just wanted to know like what this was for, what this was about.
So it's expanding the vote to anyone that lives in the town that's 18
Okay.
years or older, regardless of their immigration status.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Okay, so we're gonna move on. Thank you for your comments. Oh, okay, sorry, Mayor Rocio, please come up. Oh, sorry, we have two people. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
So I just want to understand, because I think I'm a little, and I don't want to be ignorant about this, but I'm just trying to myself understand. You're saying that this is going to be on a local level?
Yeah.
This is strictly only in our town. So what happens, like you said, if things, okay.
It's only in our town.
So
I mean, I'll
Sure.
put it to you this way. If I could change the voting rules in the United States of America, I
Mhm.
would.
you would or you would not?
I would, but I don't have that
Okay.
power.
Okay. So,
But it would be only for our local elections in our town in Colmar Manor.
okay. And so this is no disrespect, but I was not able to vote on anything until I became 18 years of age. So I had to wait for 18 years to vote. Well, and it didn't matter if it was, about a matchbook or a pencil or anything. I didn't have the rights to vote. And I'm not saying that we should not change things or that things should not change, but is there why 18? Why 6 months? Why can it not be extended or?
So there have been a lot of proposals put forth. 6 months, a year, 2 years. Currently, for anyone who's a US citizen, you have to reside in the town for 30 days
Mhm.
and you can vote. So for me, this is kind of the in-between. I don't feel comfortable with 6 months. I think it should be the same for anyone that's a citizen. I think it should only be 30 days, but this is my concession. I'm saying, okay, fine, 6 months. I don't really know how that matters, but that's the concession that I'm pushing forward.
So generally then would a person who was, because you said you're giving a consensus to at least 6 months for non-resident. So would that imply?
No,
or
not for non-residents.
for non-resident voting?
No, well, expanding the voting to anyone who lives in the town. So not, let's say, non-citizens.
Okay, so non-citizens, but they would have to live here for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay, so they're here for 6 months.
Mhm.
Help make decisions about things and then they leave.
So what if a resident that is a US citizen came here for
Mhm.
30 days,
Okay.
voted on something and then left? Is that okay?
Absolutely not. Because they
that's what
don't know
we-
the laws of the town. They don't know the laws of the land.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying to you, not necessarily to you, Mayor Casañas, but just asking, I'm raising a question, and I hope it doesn't sound ignorant, but I'm just trying to get a full understanding of this. 6 months, then they can leave. So it was 30 days, you said initially, but now we're saying they have to.
No. So US citizens,
Mhm.
anybody who is a US citizen and lives in College Park and then decides that they want to buy a house in Colmar Manor. If they have lived here, actually, Phil would be a good example of that. He just moved here. He only has to have lived in town for 30 days.
Mhm.
Then he can vote in any of our elections.
I see. Mhm.
That's for a US citizen.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is for someone who's not a US citizen, the concession that I'm giving is 6 months. It's
Mhm.
not my preference,
Mhm.
but it's my good faith to say, hey, I'm trying to work with everyone who has questions about this. And I'm saying, fine, 6
Mhm.
months. Although I don't really think it should make that big of a deal because we
Mhm.
already allow people to vote after 30 days of living here. He could easily decide that he wants to sell his house and leave.
Sure.
And he might have elected like the worst mayor known to mankind for the town of Colmar Manor. But he has that right according to our charter.
Well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to make a comment? Okay.
So yeah, just one other thing, and this is just of note. So, and nobody has to answer this question, but are many of those who are here tonight, are they non-citizens? And I know that doesn't have to be answered, but it sure would be nice on some of the other issues that we have in our town and have had in our town, if we could have a good show like we have tonight. Because we have not seen this many people. And even on Zoom, I get on Zoom and I've been on this, before you even got into office, Mayor, God bless you, where you have never, to see this many people, you'll be doing good to get 6.
So what I will say, Ms. Williams, and I appreciate you, and thank you for making your comments, is that it has been full. Probably before I got elected, but then after I got elected, it's been full like this. I think the issue that we have in our town, and I've made it very clear to the Spanish speakers, you need to get involved. And even if you're an English speaker and you live in the town of Colmar Manor, you need to get involved. So I try my best when I go around and knock on doors and give people a newsletter and post on Facebook. You need to get involved.
I've been involved for a few
You,
years.
yes, you have,
I've
ma'am.
definitely been involved for a few years.
And
I've
I-
never seen this many. But God
And
bless you.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. All right, who's next?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council, resident of Colmar Manor. As I was recognized, I'm the Mayor of Brentwood, Rocio Tremino Lopez. And I'm proud to say that I am here to support this amendment or legislation here in Colmar Manor. And I have personal reasons to share with you. I came to the United States 30 years ago as an undocumented child, not illegal, undocumented. I have to go to a process, which is the asylum, or in order to be getting my documentation. Eventually, I got my green card, and then I became U.S. citizen. Now I'm serving the town of Brentwood for the last 8 years as the mayor. So that means that, we are trying to be a good citizens. We just need an opportunity to be able to demonstrate that we're doing good. So in Brentwood, we passed the legislation. So the need, I also have another personal issue is that when I passed that, at that time, my husband only had the temporary protection called TPS now, right? So then he became resident. He waited for 3 years because he was married to a US citizen. So now this year, he became US citizen and was able to vote for the first time. He was able to vote for me previously as a non-citizen. And there's so many household here. There might be one person that is US citizen for one reason or the other. And there's a lot that are for, name it, country, timing, because immigration laws are terrible because not everything apply to all. It's depending on the age, the time that you got here, what country you're coming from, what was the situation that you came. A lot of the people that live in this area, they are from El Salvador. We were escaping from a civil war. And years passed for one reason or the other. They were not able to take the asylum process. So then TPS came along. So there's a lot of residents, people that I know personally that have been with the temporary protection status for over 20 years, and which is that we were doing, trying to get these families to finally get a green card. And that's the fight, right? So then thanks to Mr. Obama, he was give the minors the DACA status, which a lot of them, they're still on DACA. And that's the thing, we are trying, we're not taking anything for granted. This is helping, it's a process. We want to do our civil duties. We want to do our, be part of the process. But sometimes, yes, I agree with Ms. Williams when there's no issues that people won't come, because that's the experience that I have for 8 years. If there's no hot topic to discuss, nobody will show. But if there's something that attains to their personal life, they will come, they will show. So I have to first say that I really appreciate the great comments that I have heard. The people making good comments, and I think they have questions. That's normal. That wasn't the experience in Brentwood, let me tell you. We really had a very tough. We were called different names. We were called gangster. We were called illegal crimes. There was a very nasty debate, which I really appreciate that people are very nice and civil. So, and that's why I'm here to support. I know there are other municipalities, not just Brentwood, that already passed. Mount Rainier did. Hyattsville include every single citizen, even the 16 years old are included in their legislation. So this is another good example is that when I sign letters for people that are going to do the citizenship, and they told them, have you voted in law? Because they're not supposed to vote in the general election or the other elections. But if they call, I send them a letter stating, yes, they vote in the municipal election. So they see that as a plus. They see that they want to contribute to this country, because when we take off as a citizens, it says there that we're going to comply with all the laws of the United States, that we're going to do our duties to be and participate. So why not starting at a local level? It's not going to impact anything. Yes, there will be an understanding that they will not be able to vote for county, state, or federal. It's just local elections, because we have to consider too that a lot of these residents, they pay taxes, they own houses in town. So they just need the same, to keep the same rights that everybody else have. So that's my comment for tonight. And I really, thank the council for taking the time to do this, because it's not an easy process. It's a lot of questions that people might have, but then my experience has been that once we put that everything in place, the application, people start coming out. I have to say, not if you notice, usually it's the one, no more than 3% US citizens that comes out and vote in any election. So what changes is gonna make if it's, one or two other people that actually care, because those that are already are able to vote, they don't go out and vote. But people here that really wants to participate. So give them the opportunity. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I see that we have 1, 2, 3 more people, but before you come up to the podium, we have the Mayor of Cheverly, Mayor Muñene, and I have to admit I was fangirling when she first got elected. Mayor Muñene was the first Black mayor. She's the first Black elected mayor of the town of Cheverly. So thank you so much for being here, Mayor. I'll go ahead and give the floor to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize if you can't see or hear me. I am actually in the car, but I wanted to join and lend my support to this amendment and offer some insights, given that the town of Cheverly also passed a charter change to allow for non-citizen voting. I heard some of the concerns from the constituents in the audience, and I want to support the notion that there is nothing more valuable than citizenship in the United States. There's literally nothing that makes you different from the next person other than citizenship. And so that is something that we should hold dear. But what we did in Cheverly was educate the community on some of the things that they may not have known about the path to citizenship and why non-citizen voting was so critically important. Some of that includes the fact that it did not really make sense that there are over 45,000 troops and people in our armed forces who are not citizens. We can't allow folks to be willing to put their lives on the line for the safety of our country and the well-being of our country, and then not acknowledge that those contributions mean something, even if they don't have citizenship. The same goes for paying taxes. A lot of times the assumption is that non-citizens don't pay taxes, but literally any product you purchase has a tax on it. Any property that you purchase has a tax on it. So with those purchases, they contribute to the well-being and benefit of the community by paying taxes. Additionally, non-citizens are just like you and me in that they have skills and strengths and add value to communities. Some of whom have tried to become citizens for not less than 2 to 3 decades. I personally know someone, Chevrolet, who's been in the United States for 18 years and has applied to become a citizen. And I don't know if people are aware of just how difficult and expensive that process is. so expensive and difficult that it often is to exclude over becoming a citizen. So I just want to offer information. I also want to make sure that people consider their biases when they're thinking about citizens, because for that particular resident, she was from England. And so
Mayor Munyene, the audio is coming in and out, and it's getting garbled.
To keep in mind that the positive contributions outweigh any of the challenges. And lastly, for our community, we said that we wanted to be not only a diverse town, but that we also wanted to be inclusive. And we would be hypocritical. Citizens needed to have a voice. And the way that you can't say that having efficacy and the right to vote. So that is all, and I just wanted to share that. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you, Mayor Munyene, and thank you so much for being awesome. Thank you. I also just want to call up, I'm going to call up one more mayor and one council member, please, if that's okay. We've all been in a training all day today, and so I want to be respectful of their time. So Mayor Selena Benitez, she is the first Hispanic mayor of the city of Mount Rainier.
I've been advised to make it short and I will. So thank you guys so much. And I've seen you guys, some of them maybe like 2 hours ago, I believe. So my name is Selena, Mayor of City of Mount Rainier. The city of Mount Rainier has had non-citizen voters since 2017. And just like the other cities that have also expanded voting and democracy to all of our residents, we have seen a bigger turnout and involvement in our community. We never asked our residents whether they have documents or not when they're paying their taxes that pay for all the different things that we use in the city. So therefore, we should be able to extend their right. And like I tell a lot of my community members, we sometimes take for granted the privilege that we have, but at one day we were new. I came from El Salvador at the age of 10, and I didn't know the language, I didn't know the people, I didn't know the community, and I was welcome. And after many years of working hard, you know, from California to Maryland, I became mayor. But we should never put a barrier in our residents to how far they're gonna reach. But at the same time, remember, you were new one day. It is in your power now to treat others like you would like to have been treated when you welcome. This is an equality and a justice issue. So if you strongly believe in any of those issues when it comes to our values of our community, and I know Colmar Manor has very strong values, just like the other cities has, this becomes more of like an inclusionary value for all of our residents to vote and represent who they are and continue to be involved. So I'll say that, thank you guys so much for entertaining this conversation, and I'm always here to support you guys. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, now I'm going to call Councilmember Marley Nettles from the town of Cheverly.
Can you all hear me? You can't, great. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm gonna make this extremely short. I'm just here to offer my support in the passing of non-citizen voting. Again, our mayor just spoke about some of the trials and tribulations that we faced and educated our community on in Cheverly, but I'm here to offer my support. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Ms. Blue?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and guests. I was asked by a few citizens in Ward 1 and Ward 3, and a couple in Ward 4 too, to share this with you. They don't feel that the voting should be about the mayor, the council. They feel that the town citizens should do a referendum in May for the election and see what the citizens in the town all feel how it should go. It's not about the group, the race. It's about the right candidate for this positions. Thank you.
Thank you. So my, thank you. So my comment to that in regards to referendums, because that has been brought up also, is you elected Malik, you elected Irina, you elected Doug, you elected Melinda, and you elected me. You elected us to make decisions that are representative of you. So, well, sorry. Just make sure whenever you make a comment to come to the podium to make the comment. But what I'm trying to say is that putting this to referendum is lazy politics. My opinion, lazy politics. You elected us to make those tough decisions.
So I just double checked with the clerk on this one, just on clarification for process here. And also an FYI, we have cheat sheets over there. I wrote up a very short summary of the charter process, charter amendment process. So that may be helpful to all of you when you read it. The decision that can be made tonight is on the resolution. They cannot, the council that is, cannot make a motion to send that resolution to referendum directly. So there's two ways to get a charter amendment done. One is by the council voting for a charter amendment resolution. And then the residents have the right through a petition process to get that resolution put on a ballot for a vote by the town. Or the residents of the town can put together a charter amendment and get the signatures and then bring that to a vote. So just so you know the process for everyone's sake.
All right, thank you. And if you don't know, this is our town administrator, Greg Holcomb. Okay, next.
Right, so I'm gonna thank you, town administrator, because you answered my question. My question was, are we standing here saying that the council will vote for this? Because to your point, some of us did vote for you all and put you in office with an expectation that some of you are not living up to. So for that, to that extent, we're not expecting and hoping that you won't speak on our behalf, right? And you're not voting for us when you come in and you give your individual votes, right? In that way, you're not listening to us necessarily in our particular areas, and you're not speaking for us in our observation. So you answered my question for me. Thank you. I'm going to step here and beside Ms. Lee and let her ask.
Okay, hello, I'm Walicia Lee. So my question to you guys is this. For years, it has been stated it was hard to identify rental properties. We as homeowners pay a total different tax than a renter pays, because renters don't generally pay the taxes. It's the owners that pays the taxes. So if we want to make this process, that the voters process, that undocumented citizens get to vote, are we saying that these individuals are going to go on the lease of where their residence is? And then once that happens, are we then going to be able to identify that these individuals are not the homeowners? Therefore, now we can tackle the rental versus the homeowners. Because when we talk about taxes, are we talking about they're paying property taxes? I don't think so. This has been the issue for years, that we are, as homeowners, are paying these high prices on taxes, but yet most of the properties that's in our community, there's renters. So if this is what you want to do, I'm hoping that we're going to, if it goes through, that now we're going to be able to identify the difference. And now we're going to be able to go back and tackle the situation between the differentiation between the properties. Thank you.
If I may, Mayor.
Thank you.
I don't have a direct answer for that, but I believe that's a very good concern to have. But could I ask you a personal question? Do you believe I'm a homeowner or a renter? I mean, I'm in this position right now.
You're asking the question. It doesn't matter. If you're paying the same type of taxes that I'm paying.
I'm not, because the homeowner raises the price on our family. The homeowner raises the price on our family. Raises the price so that he doesn't have to pay taxes on the property. So we're not paying the same taxes. But we're separating from the situation of rights. Now you're talking about taxes that I'm paying. We're paying more than you. So if that's the disagreement upon it,
Sorry,
but,
hold.
ma'am, the money is going towards taxes regardless.
Ms. Lee, sorry, Ms. Lee, can you come to the podium? And I might cut this off in like a
Okay,
minute.
so the issue is not just taxes. The issue is that there's been a lot of things. I'm not sure how long you've lived here.
25 years.
Okay, I've lived here over 30 something years. The issue has been from mayor to mayor that we could not identify.
But these people couldn't vote.
Excuse me?
These people couldn't vote on our mayor.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about whether or not, so I see which way your vote goes, but needless to say, that's not my issue and that's not my concern. And that's not what you,
Ms. Lee, so I think when we did a quick search to see how many properties in our town were actually rentals, it wasn't that many.
Well, and that's because obviously what we have been told, there's clear. I've seen signs. I've seen signs out in front of homes. Rooms for rent. Now, this young lady just said, as it pertains to how people are renting out spaces, these are renters. So what I'm saying is, there's been a lot of things like when you do the census, you don't, I'm not sure how many people are on the census that are renters that are taking these census surveys.
So what I will say is that to the previous mayor's credit and the council, they did a good job of collecting census from all the residents here. What I'd like to kind of just clarify, and maybe we can do this offline. You're asking that renters pay more taxes in order to be eligible to vote?
That's not what I said. That's
Oh,
not,
that's
not what I said.
We're trying to identify the issue.
I'm trying to.
No, I don't need you to identify anything because you're not my council person.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
council, that's Melinda is my ward's person. So if you want a question answer from me, first you should find out what my statement was. And if there was clarity that you needed to find out, then that's what you should have did before you chimed in. That is not my statement about them paying taxes. I mean, paying more taxes. What I'm saying is,
Ms. Lee, I'm coming at this from a place of curiosity. I'm
Okay,
not coming. I'm
what
not
I'm
coming at
saying
this accusing
is-
you of anything. I'm just
what
curious.
I'm saying is there has been, and maybe I could talk to my council person because we've talked about this before. There has been a lot of things that could not be addressed because there was always that, oh, this person, they're renters, they're not owners. So there's been different situations that could not be handled because our previous mayor says, oh, well, prime example, parking. So you don't have enough parking. Why? Because there is homeowners that are renting spaces where now we have a fluctuation of cars. So now you have owners that, such as you don't have spaces.
So to me, what it sounds like, there's a couple of different issues that you're bringing up. So
absolutely.
So some of them deal with code enforcement, some deal with parking, and I think those are all valid concerns.
But it all stems from because our previous mayor says, well, we can't identify. We can't say that this homeowner is renting. Okay, so my statement was, now that if this pass, now it will be clear that you will be able to identify, a renter versus a homeowner, because now they're going to have to prove that they have been living, correct,
So what
in the
I'll,
residence for 6 months.
what I'll also say is what became apparent to me, and anyone can look this up. So when I was campaigning to be your mayor, I purchased a voter registration list. And sometimes on that voter registration list, you'd have 5 or 6 people registered at the same address. I'd have a Mr. Lee, I'd have a Mr. Chevali, I'd have a Mr. Cruz. I found it interesting that I had a Chevali, Lee, and Cruz living at the same house. So there are ways to kind of get this information that you can publicly get. So I'm not sure if it's related necessarily to expanding voters, expanding the ability to vote in Colmar Manor. That information is already out there.
I understand what you're saying.
Do
too.
you?
Yes. So you're stating, and it won't be in all cases because of similar to what she just stated, but in situations where someone does come to prove their residency in the town, showing a lease for a property would be that proof. Therefore, they could apply to be a voter, no matter their citizenship status. We would then be able to see which homes are out there that are rentals.
Thank you.
However, we'll have to check with our legal counsel if that's legal.
Okay.
I will leave it at that. But no, I understand.
Thank you.
All right, do you think I did a good job hiring this town administrator, or that the council did? Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Lee. And then we have one last person, and then we need to get on with our 2 more people, and then please, we need to get on with the agenda. So, okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody. The vote is only right. It's a civil right. ¿Quién de los que está aquí, de los residentes de Colmar Manor, tiene green card? ¿Alguien que tenga green card de los residentes de Colmar Manor? Levántese, Gladys. ¿Quién de los que está aquí es indocumentado de Colmar Manor? Levántese. Ok, están viendo las personas indocumentadas. You see that people don't have paper, right? Levanten la mano. No, los que no tienen. I'm sorry. No. My question is only for civil right. What is the difference to me? Because I can vote. I live in here, I can vote. And I live here for 4 years. Sarah living here for 11 years. And she's owner. He's owner the house. Miss Gladys is the owner. And how many years? ¿Cuántos años? Tiene 23 years living here. And she is green card. And she is undocumented and civil and USA citizenship. What is the difference? Because we are 3 women working, pay taxes, house owner. What is the difference? It's only civil right. Just only with 1 vote. That's it. And maybe it's many people living here don't come in to vote. Maybe coming only 3 or 4 because we don't have the culture for vote. But we can have the option for vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juan Casañas. I live on 39th Ave. I was letting everybody talk because if I start talking about this topic, we'll be here until tomorrow. And I don't want to do that to everybody. So putting that aside, I actually have other town issues and concerns. Well, other than her. This is the second time I brought this up. I'm bringing this up. It has to deal with Bates and deal with garbage pickup, not specifically recycling and regular garbage, which is Friday and Monday, but bulk pickup. It's a continued issue that we keep having. Residents, well, this time, the mentioning right now is my wife. Actually called them up and they never showed. And this is a repetitive thing that we've had problems with Bates. I brought it up with our code enforcement officer. When he looked up the list of who were they supposed to pick up, they didn't have our name. this is a repetitive issue that we've had with Bates. I think about a month or two ago, I came up on a podium and brought this up again. Also talking about my front door neighbor who he repeatedly called over a month and never showed. Eventually they did, but at that point he was had the potential of being have a citation because he had garbage on the curb because Bates never showed. I strongly ask that the council and the mayor, please, please, please talk to Bates. Please get this fixed. I don't think it's fair because it's throwing the onus onto the residents. If they don't show, then we get fined, and that's not fair. Thankfully, our code enforcement officer is understanding, but that's because we're lucky that we have a code enforcement officer who is understanding of the situation. But technically, we would get fined. Thank you. And yep, hopefully I'm the last person.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna close it down, public comments for now. So I'm now gonna ask for committee reports. So first up is the Recreation Committee. Oh, sorry, sorry. So before we go into the committee, we need to actually welcome our newest officer to Colmar Manor, and we need to swear him in. So please join us in swearing him in. I'll turn it over to Chief Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. And as we change the stage here for just a moment, I'd like to introduce Officer Shamari Odin, over here to my right. Shamari comes to us with municipal policing experience, and he's also currently a police officer with the Washington, DC school system. And if anybody's been out in the morning while they're waiting to pick up the school children, you know, we have a lot of young people in the town, and Officer Odin will be a great asset in communicating with the young people in our outreach. And before we go, I want to recognize, excuse me, any of Officer Odin's family that's here, his friends, and in particular, the police officers that are in the room from our neighboring jurisdictions. Anybody familiar with municipal policing know that we are always helping each other out. And that includes the police chiefs from the neighboring municipalities. Again, thank you for your support of Officer Odin and the Colmar Manor Police Department. So there's the oath, and just a moment to make an adjustment that doesn't want to adjust, so we'll leave it.
Okay, please repeat after me. I, Shamari F. Odin,
I, Shamari F. Odin,
do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
without
partiality or prejudice,
execute the
office of police officer for the town of Colmar Manor,
execute the office of Town and Police Officer for Colmar Manor,
Prince George's County, Maryland, according to the Constitution
Prince George's County, Maryland, according to the Constitution
and the laws of this state and charter of Colmar Manor, Maryland.
and the laws of this state and the charter of Colmar, Maryland, Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for having me. I've been around for a while. I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be back working in Maryland. Please don't hesitate to stop me and see me if you see me riding around. I'll be in that nice fancy Impala out there. And again, just thank you. You know, if anybody have any questions for me, you can ask me now, see me out, be riding around in the town. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good to see you. Thank you for coming out.
All right, baby. Mahalo.
All right.
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so yes, now I'll open it up to the committee and committee groups to give their reports. So I'd like to call up the rec committee. Okay, the garden club. Go ahead, Ms. Doretha. Ms. Doretha, we can't hear you. All right, we'll come back to you, Ms. Doretha. Neighborhood Watch?
Good evening. September Neighborhoods Watch meeting was held at the Mayor's Park on 43rd and Monroe Street. We had a good turnout, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Our code enforcement officer, Mr. Charles Redding, was there. He was asked a lot of questions, gave a lot of good answers to them. He can be contacted on 240-640-0721. Officer Oden was also there. We introduced him to some of the citizens there too. I want to thank the mayor and council for coming out and supporting the Neighborhood Watch. Chief Stone spoke a little bit about the fall approaching and safety tips. And we gave some questions and answers to him also. The next meeting will be held here at the town hall Thursday, October the 27th at 7 o'clock. That's October is Domestic Violence Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blue. So just as a reminder, if anybody wants to join the Neighborhood Watch, just show up to the meeting. They're really good. Next is Foundation of Greatness.
Hello, Monica. Thank you. Us at Foundation of Greatness, we are thankful for you, Monica, the council, the town for allowing us to bring opportunities to the community, to Colmar Manor. We're proud to announce our partnership with Global Resource Group. They work with adults with intellectual disabilities. Together, we are working to provide programs and activities in the community, as well as integrating them with the people and the businesses of our community. They're around in the town hall and in the community. Please feel free to come to the town hall, the community center to meet and find out what we are doing with the Global Resources Group. But they're looking forward to helping us, and we want to help them reach their full potential, because, you know, sometimes they can be secluded. And so, you know, we're here to help as a community and integrate into the individuals with intellectual disabilities, as well as, you know, anybody that wants to, you know, provide any type of help with the program. We're also hosting yoga and sound therapies the next 2 Thursdays at the 6:30 at the town hall. Mayor has been there for the last 2 sessions. You could speak on it if you want on behalf of us, Mayor, and your experiences.
Yes, so if you didn't know this, we have yoga and sound bowl meditation here in this room, actually, and it's pretty amazing. It's a great workout. The meditation alone is just amazing. So it's free to Colmar Manor residents. Please come out to the yoga. If you're not into yoga, come out to the meditation. It really helps, and it's just a beautiful experience. So please make sure to come out.
Thank you, Mayor. And we're also working with Miss Vivian and the rec committee to, you know, do our part with the holiday party and parade. We'll be providing tons of candies. We also have Halloween costumes for the youth. If they don't have one, they can come pick them up starting next week at the town hall. So we'll just provide that information as well. And that is about it. You know, obviously the holiday is coming in November. We plan on doing a mayor pie baking and pie give outs to the community during the Thanksgiving week, as well as we're working countlessly to provide a toy and clothes drive for obviously the Christmas holiday. You can follow us on Instagram at Foundation of Greatness. You also can go to our website, www.foundationofgreatness.com, where we'll provide more information for you guys. Just want to say thank you again to the council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief Stone. Thank you, everybody that's in the building, for allowing us to be a part of everything that you guys do. We helped Morena out with the Hispanic outreach committee, so we're looking forward for her to see her back at yoga in return. But we just want to be part of the community. We work, you know, we're in the building. We work with Greg. We talk to Greg every day. I know Greg's probably tired of seeing us and hearing from us, but we love it, and we appreciate you guys dearly.
Thank you, Bruce. So just again, a reminder, Foundation of Greatness, they're here, they're doing programming. I encourage everyone to get on a wellness routine. So we have the yoga and the meditation on Thursdays. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm working out downstairs in the gym. So starting around 8:30, if you want to come and walk around the track, you're welcome to do that. Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., we're having a Saturday morning burner. Again, it's free to Colmar Manor residents. So we're offering a lot of opportunities for you to get in shape, both physically and mentally. Please take advantage of that. Okay, the next group that I'd like to call, Mr. Retha, do you want to try again for the Garden Club? Okay. So Ms. Doretha, we still can't hear you, but I'll give a quick update. The Garden Club sold mums. So they acquired 35 mums. They purchased 35 mums, and we sold all 35 in a couple of hours. So I want to thank everyone that came out and bought mums. And please make sure to get involved with the Garden Club. I think they're meeting this weekend. But there's just lots of opportunities to go, be in the garden, help with the cleanups, grow vegetables, get trained on best gardening tips, and yeah, so just keep an eye on any notices that come out in regards to the Garden Club. Hispanic Outreach Committee. Do you want to do a report? Anyone from the Hispanic Outreach Committee?
Sí, buenas, mi nombre es Sara. Formo parte del Comité Latino y nuestro primer evento lo tuvimos el 7 de octubre y también el 21 de septiembre estuvimos colaborando con el Comité del Garden y eso es todo.
Gracias.
Gracias.
So basically, she said that their first event was on the 7th of October. And so that was really good. And thank you everyone for coming out. And they'll be working with the Garden Club as well on the 21st of October. Okay. So now I'll give my report, which I'll make it quick. Actually, I want to just bring up that if there are people that have a cause or an issue or they're passionate about a particular thing, to go ahead and start a committee. One of the committees that has started has been against the development of a gas station. So if you received the newsletter that we posted, that committee, it's an unofficial committee, as is the Hispanic Outreach Committee, wrote a letter and we posted in the newsletter. Keith, do you want to say anything on behalf of that committee?
Hello, my name is Keith Brooks. On behalf of the unofficial committee regarding the Newark Road car wash development, we are just asking that neighbors come out and support and give their views and perspectives on what they would like to see the town. We feel that the proposed gas station does not coincide with the vision of what the town can be and what it should be. And we are looking for other citizens to garner support, garner feedback, so we can come up with a valuable, both profitable for the developers as well as the citizens of what can go there. So Brenda, myself, I live at 3605 41st Avenue. Knock on my door.
Sorry, if you're gonna make a comment,
Sorry, thanks. That's awesome. When do you guys meet?
So we have a email listserv. So if you want to send me your email, then we can get you on that. And we usually meet on a Sunday, usually in the afternoon around 3 or 4, depending on what movement we've had. We've sent some information out to the mayor and the council and are currently working through the process of what those next steps are. All right.
so please, if you want to learn more, it's very important to get involved with that committee. As Keith mentioned the vision for the town. Christian, can you do, I'm gonna print something on the printer. So I'm gonna ask everyone that's here to complete a little form that I have. So it's important to talk about what our vision for the town is. We do not have a vision for the town. We have a plaque on a wall that talks about what we should be doing, but we don't have a vision, a blueprint for what we want our town to do. Those are two very different things. And so I want to work with residents. Whenever we get together, congregate, I want to hear what your vision is for the town of Colmar Manor. Okay, great. So now, I think that's it. That's all I had for my reports. So now we'll go on to the next agenda item, which is the approval of the minutes. So we have a bunch of meetings here, and we've been a little short-staffed, but thank you to Christian for working on this. What do we do now? Do we just ask the council to approve the minutes for these meetings, or? So what Mr. Baden is saying is just if we want to vote on to approve all of them, we can. If there are specific meetings that you have questions about in regards to the meeting minutes, then we can look over that and address them.
Okay.
I'm fine with a motion to pass all of them, or accept all of the, Councilmember Harding, I motion to accept all of our, work session minutes.
Wait, there's.
Oh, all the work session and all the minutes.
All the minutes, sorry. Yeah, all the minutes, sorry. Councilmember Harding, I motion to accept all of our minutes.
Councilmember Mendoza, and I will second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Okay, thank you. So the next agenda item are council reports.
You know, we should have did it in reverse today. No, I'm kidding. Councilmember Harding, I'll be very brief. Very happy to see the amount of people that I've seen inside of this room today. I hope it continues. Honestly, this warmed my heart because for the past 2 years on council, I've only seen growth inside of the community, growth as we come together. So I really appreciate seeing all of you here tonight. My only ward report goes towards the situation that was brought up by resident Juan about Bates. I recently myself had to call them and address our recycling issue and things like that. And I feel like we may have to start looking into alternative options because it's a long drawn problem where we've brought them in, spoken to them, had residents speak to them, and we're at where we're at again. The second thing, a lot of events going on in town. I hope that a lot of residents come out to participate. I've been seeing an influx of people inside of our town just being outside, you know, and not when events are happening. So I really enjoy seeing our residents, and I hope to see more of you on the days that are good. It's getting colder. We got to start being mindful of the stormwater management situation because we haven't come up to a solution with that just as yet, but know that the mayor and council are working on that. And that is my ward report.
Next. Ward 2, do you want to give your report?
Sure. So I just, I'm going to also present, give an update on the green team, and I'm sorry it's a bit loud. So for the green team, we didn't get it because it wasn't on the agenda, but it should be included going forward because it's our existing and acting committee. And so I would like, the first and biggest achievement is that the Sustainable Maryland certification was yet again granted to the town, and congratulations to the town. I would like to thank our former Mayor Barrow also for working hard on submitting the application. It's a very tedious process, and it accounts for about three or more years of work in various areas touching on sustainability, whether it's social, whether it's environmental, and other aspects of this concept. So congratulations to the town. We need to, however, come up with a new 3-year plan of what we want to do, and I think it perfectly aligns with the mission of the town. So this includes all the events or seminars or areas that we would like to work on, and in the town, what we'd like to see, how I'm happy to hear that the mayor is also actively promoting healthy lifestyle in our community. So I also would like to, given the opportunity, invite members of the town, residents of the town, to join and become members of the Green Team. And we'll have an orientation meeting that is scheduled for on Monday, October 17th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. So again, the orientation for new members and the review of current and past actions, plus the discussion about future actions. So this is it from the Green Team. As for the town report, word report, I have received a complaint from a resident about a car that was been parked, flat tire, windows are all down. And I would like to thank our police to acting quickly and swiftly on this request. Also would like to remind residents that they should move their parked cars every 72 hours. And they should be being good members, do not block driveways, and just be courteous, because there's a lot of residents with lots of cars, and we just need to give everybody a fair chance to have a parking space. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bowles here from Ward 3. I just wanted to say good evening to everyone and point out that the seasons are changing. So there's some very simple things we need to keep in mind, like raking up our leaves and making sure that we're not in the way of walking and blocking passage of citizens and residents. Make sure that if you are able or you can afford to have it done, that you clean your gutters once the leaves have stopped falling. That's a very important part of water management on your property and can prevent damage to your home. You should also reach out to Town Hall if that's not something that you can achieve or afford yourself, because I'm sure we could find a way to help you. In addition to that, the Green Team, as the mayor mentioned earlier, it's great to see you all here. None of our committees require identification of your status at all. Everyone in this town is welcome to participate in any activity in this town, including our committees. So I hope that you will come out. The Green Team is particularly dear to my heart because we do live in a town that is in a floodplain, or at least a good portion of it is, and water management and flooding issues are extremely important. And the town is doing some amazing things with tree planting, and we're working on putting in permeable pavers on 43rd and other issues around water management. And so those are kind of existential issues for our town in some ways, because we have, in not too distant past, had residents whose homes were invaded by water and they lost a lot of furniture and suffered financial damages because of it. So please do participate in any and all of our committees. You are welcome, no matter who you are. I would like to thank the town, because I am happy to say that the town has paid for the education of its elected officials, and I was able to graduate today. The mayor made sure she took my picture. I didn't have a balloon in my hand, but she did take a picture. So today I finished the Academy of Excellence, and for those that you don't know that, that's a system that is set up for your elected officials to become educated about how to do our jobs, because many times we are elected and we haven't done it, or we don't know the intricacies. And so this is a series of classes that are set up for us to take. And so thank you to the town for your tax dollars to help your your elected officials become more knowledgeable and to be more able to help you. So thank you. And I'm excited to have finished that first level. And finally, on a personal note, because I am a person who is of a sexual orientation minority, today is National Coming Out Day. And it is a day which it is encouraged, if you feel safe, and that's an important part of this, if you feel safe to come out, it is encouraged that you do so, because it is still the #1 reason why teenagers in America kill themselves, is having to do with self-esteem issues surrounding their sexual orientation. We do have, every year we did pass an ordinance to celebrate and affirm the lives of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, intersex, and asexual people. Plus, we've had 2 town celebrations of Pride. They happen in June. And the first one was completely attended by people from outside of town. And the second one was about 50% people from outside of town. So we encourage you to become a part of that. I would actually like to see a committee started, perhaps, to celebrate and involve our out citizens. So please do celebrate and love your family members, regardless of who they love. It is my opinion they are born that way, and they are not to be shunned or hurt in any way for being who they are meant to be. All of us are valuable for who we are, and all of us should be celebrated for who we are. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to speak. And and also some folks have been reaching out, taking walks with me. Philip has taken a couple of walks with me. Julianne wrote her letter. People have been reaching out slowly on the issue of non-citizen voting. And I really appreciate it. Even if we differ, it's so energizing to have conversations like this and to develop. Even as the mayor and I were talking about, even if there's a conflict, if we work through that conflict carefully, what happens on the other side of the conflict is a closer relationship. So thank you all for reaching out to me, and I appreciate you. So good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 4.
Good evening, everyone. Going last is always the best because my council members and mayor, they pretty much go over what I wanted to say. So I just piggyback off of it. But this is very encouraging. I like the fact that we are all here and we're talking. We all want a seat at the table and we want to be heard. And we understand that. And the information that's coming out, no comment is good or it's not, it's bad. So I'm thankful to just see everyone here. Piggybacking on what Mayor said, definitely, I like to see how many committee and community groups are on this agenda, and it just keeps going, and it should keep going. If we can come together and talk about whether it's, we used to have a board game group, right? Adam B, where you at? So to make this happen. So there's no committee or no group that is not good. So definitely to come together. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next up are staff reports. So treasurer report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I see under my report, there are 3 items to report on: the September 22 treasurer's report, the fiscal year 22 final budget adjustments, and the fiscal year 23 budget adjustments. Those last 2 items should technically be under new business because they do require council action. So I am only going to comment on the September report and ask those other 2 items to be moved under new business. It shouldn't be any problem. So on the September financial report, there should be copies on the table. If you're at home and want a copy, you could ask for them at the town hall. Our fiscal year is on a July 1st basis. So it begins on July 1st of one year and goes through June 30th of the following year. So the report that you have is for the first 3 months of the current year through September 2022. I'm not going to go through all the items in the report because it's quite voluminous, and I'm sure you all don't want to sit around here and hear me spout off a bunch of numbers, but I do want to highlight a couple items. First item on the revenue side is real property tax revenues, and that is our largest tax revenue source for the town. It's budgeted at $1,008,000 for the year. Through September, we've collected $33,921 of that. If you receive a tax bill at your home, you know you have to pay your taxes in 2 installments, one by September 30th and the other half by December 31st. If you are a homeowner, if you're not a homeowner, it's all due on or before September 30th. So in October, we'll receive the largest portion. We receive our amounts on the 10th of each month. So we'll receive probably about 75% of that, or about $750,000 in October. So that's why it's showing low at this point. And then again, the next largest portion we'll receive in our January distribution for payments made through December. Also under the revenue side, you'll see a Chesapeake Bay Trust Grant in the amount of $32,686. This is a grant we received from the Chesapeake Bay Trust to continue our designing impervious surfaces in the town. We have it in one area by the community sign that was done a couple years ago. This will allow for another intersection for the design work, and then we'll look to allocate funding and find funding for the actual construction of that permeable surface, impervious surface. The other item that I wanted to note under revenues is the American Rescue Plan revenues. We received our second installment of that. We received the first installment last year. The second and final installment was received in September, and that was $656,837. The council has come up with a plan to allocate those monies for certain purposes, and that will be discussed later on under the new business that I asked to be added on the budget adjustment, so we could actually put that money in the budget so that it can be spent. Other than that, the rest of the report are, about the expenditure accounts, and I'll just leave it at that, let you look at those reports yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to, send me an email. If council has any questions, I'll try to answer those now. With no questions, I'll turn it back to the mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Baden. Next item on the agenda, Chief Stone, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll go over the police report briefly for the month of September. And we put out a number of copies on the table, but I think we had more people here than copies. So it is available on the website, and it's available here at Town Hall if anybody wants a copy. Just touch upon a few items in the report. We had a break-in reported at a residence, which is very uncommon in Colmar Manor, and it occurred in the early morning hours of September 5th in the 4200 block of Newark Road. Person awoke to find someone in their home. Very minor amount of property was taken, and the suspect left, and it's believed to be a homeless female that was in the residence. The resident left the door unlocked. Just a reminder to please lock your doors. This incident was, in the scheme of things, relatively minor, but it could have been something much worse. We also had a theft of a power washer from a yard in the 3500 block of 43rd Avenue. A number of other police reports were written in the month, but there's probably of most interest to the residents here. I've received a couple questions regarding a boarded up window at one of the stores in the Port Town Shopping Center. That was not a burglary. That was a hit and run where a vehicle struck the window and left the scene. Ms. Blue mentioned our neighborhood watch meeting. The next one is October 27th, 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall. Also mentioned that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We'll have literature in the lobby regarding the Prince George's County Family Justice Center, which can be of assistance to domestic violence victims and their families. For code enforcement, there was a couple. We mentioned a couple times tonight, drainage from private property. 2 years ago, the council passed an ordinance regarding drainage from private property, and essentially the water and runoff that's generated from your property should remain on your property. In code enforcement, it will be enforcing that in particular, and starting with the one of most concern, and that is sump pumps and downspouts which drain across the sidewalk. Most of the time, not a problem. In the winter months, it could be a big problem to pedestrians. So we'll be sending out some letters when we find that situation, but give the homeowner plenty of time to rectify it, and can also assist with suggestions on how to do that. In the report is the code enforcement report, which goes over the violations during the month. We've got a new reporting system, and this is the first month for it. And on my copy, it printed really small. It didn't turn out that in the draft copy wasn't like that. But anyway, we'll fix that next month. Most of these are weed and high grass problems that were rectified. Probably the biggest, the most concerning or a problem property. We have a vacant property in the 3400 block of 41st Avenue that it's unoccupied, it's vacant, been vacant for years, and we're working on abating that. And finally, on the last page, which I got to talk about very briefly, I compared or try to go over the crime statistics every quarter and have looked at this present time, the last 3 quarters for the 3 years, this year and 2 priors. And we look at the more serious crimes, which are called Part 1 crimes. So your homicides, your sex offenses, thefts, things of that nature. It just kind of gives an overview, snapshot of the crime in the area. For the last 2 years, at this time, we had exactly 54 Part 1 crimes. For the same period this year, we are at 27. So that's a 50% reduction in our little town of Colmar Manor. So just something I think it's to be proud of. By our residents work a lot at that. Our police officers work a lot at that. But that's not to say that there is no crime. We have had 2 robberies this year, one last month at a business and one this month at the DMV convenience at 43rd and Bladensburg Road. I had a crime, what is it called? Kind of a wanted poster of the picture of the suspects, and was on the table. There may still be copies, and it's all over social networks. So if you see that and recognize some folks, it's a $2,500 reward through Crime Solvers. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for the statistics. That's super, super cool to kind of see that crime has been cut in half. I know that I used to be afraid of going to the shopping center because I didn't know if somebody was going to break into my car. This was what, maybe two years ago, that's what I felt. So lately I'm feeling a little less weary about, am I going to come out and see a broken window in my car? So thank you very much for all your work with that, Chief Stone. Great, so I'm gonna open it. Oh, sorry. Town Administrator report.
Wow, she's just gonna skip over me. So just a quick update, especially for the residents. Last council work session, a bunch of things were approved and we've been moved right ahead. I've moved right ahead to getting those implemented. One is a new phone system for the town hall. This may not seem like a big deal to all of you, but it is a huge hindrance for staff. The phones crackle, they're over 20 years old. It's a very outdated system. The new system will be voice over IP with cloud capabilities, so we'll be able to get voicemails from anywhere. We'll have a new phone directory where people can have extensions, and it will make things a little more efficient in town hall for all of you, and at a cost savings. So that's the big plus out of it, is there will be a cost savings at the end of the year of several $1,000s. One of the more exciting things is the council approved a new website. So that contract has been signed with a company called Revise. We are scheduling a kickoff meeting internally first with the company to kind of set up what our role is with them. This is all being funded by the ARPA funds, and it is within the budget of that. We're looking for volunteers. So council, I haven't asked you yet, but we're looking for at least 2 council members, 1 or 2. If you're available and willing, we'll accept you as part of the designing of this. And then we're looking for up to 3 public volunteers. So any resident that would like to be part of the process of trying to help us design the website and what the features are and all that, please just contact Town Hall or myself, and we will get you signed up for that. This should be maybe exciting as well. We received our estimate for surveys of the roads and sidewalk repairs, which would be paid out of the ARPA funding as well. If you pass the purchasing ordinance tonight, you won't see it again. If you don't pass it, it will be at the next meeting. So there's that. The kickoff meeting is scheduled with the new lobbying firm. So the council approved a lobbying firm, the Greenwell Consulting Group, at the last work session, and that kickoff meeting will be coming up in a couple weeks to discuss state legislative priorities of the town, including funding, grant funding and state budget funding. We have several positions open at Town Hall. There's a senior administrative position, which is full-time, an administrative position, which is part-time, and a public works position. I'm in the process of interviewing for the administrative positions. The public works position just opened up. The The administrative positions are on the website, and I will get the Public Works one up on the website tomorrow. That one's a simple application process. But if you know anyone that's looking at those types of positions, please review the job criteria on the website, and we would love to see some Colmar Manor residents actually apply for some of these positions that are open. Update for the council and the public, the 43rd and Newark permeable pavement project, AdTech, the consulting or the engineering company. I reached out to them just to get an update. They've done the initial survey work and they're waiting for the results of that to begin their drawings. So that is moving along quite quickly. That's only been about a month since we passed that. So I'm happy with that. And then finally, for just the general public, there is a new hall rental policy that went into effect on October 4th. It's a temporary policy to try to ease some of the efficiency issues that we're having at town halls with staff and renting out primarily the space that you're in right now. The main components that I think are the most relevant to everyone are that the rental dates will only be allowed to be rented out 3 months in advance. So we have people that are trying to rent all the way in September of 2023. That's not going to happen anymore. We want to try to limit that so that we can plan events for town residents, town activities, and to just make sure that things are a little more efficient and not so far in advance. The community room that when you first walk in, that room is being reserved for town programming Monday through Saturday from 9 until 3. We're not renting it during those times. So that is open to the public to come and utilize. We ask that you call town hall to make sure you can reserve it. The Foundation of Greatness and the work that they're doing with Global Resources, they do utilize that space on occasion. So we just don't want to double book anyone. But if you have, a study group or something that, you don't have room at your house, just contact us. We have a space for you to use during the day, during the week, and even on Saturday mornings and afternoons. The only exception to all this is our small repasts that they may rent that space just because this is kind of a lot for some of the smaller funerals that we have. The other big note is, 2 more, is that the gym is now only going to be rentable for sporting events, sporting activities. We do not want to host parties down there anymore. We had people frying chicken on the basketball court, which is just dangerous in general. So that is not going to be allowed anymore. And then finally, the other one that's kind of a big change is we've always had that the rental agreements had to be paid in advance 1 week prior to. But rentals still, people could walk in and just kind of pay for the rental there on the spot. We are no longer doing that. You have to rent the space 1 week in advance and pay for it a week in advance. So this is another, it's a logistical issue that we have. We have to find watchers at last minute notices. We have to call the security company if they're serving alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. This will just make it a little more efficient for town hall and also keep this space available for the residents as well. I think that's all.
Thank you. So the next on the agenda are resident public comments. We're going to keep that short. We're going to go into the ethics ordinance, the purchasing ordinance, and then the charter amendment resolution. So if you could give us 15 more minutes, hopefully we'll get to that. Any resident public comments?
3 minutes, right? All right, timer. So this is in regards to the all residents voting. I always like to seek to understand. So the first question would be, what is the end goal for all citizen or all residents voting? Because I'd like to break things down into a 3 process phase of what's the rationale. So what is the need? Ms. Morena had mentioned that civil rights, that it is a civil rights, and based off the US Constitution, civil rights are personal rights guaranteed by the US Constitution and federal law. So since this is not under that, that would negate that comment. Regarding Mayor Rainier, or the mayor of Rainier, they said citizen engagement. We have multiple unofficial community organizations that are engaged that do not have to be a citizen, do not have to be a resident of the town, but can offer support because they're unofficial. You had the mayor from Brentwood suggest civic duties and suggest that it really doesn't matter if they get to vote because, you know, we don't have that many people voting anyway. So then again, what is the motivational factor? And then you had a comment regarding the wanting more involvement, wanting more opportunities, and that effect. So that's what I'm trying to understand. What is the need? Who is it for? Why now? And then I go into the process of what is the impact? So who will be impacted by this? Who and how will they be impacted? Both the pros and the cons. So you'll have some people who are for it, and then you have some people who are against it. And to understand both the pros and the cons of that, I feel is critical. And then the last process would be the execution. So Ms. Dixon and her friend had mentioned, you know, property taxes and identification and things of that nature. Federal and state requires certain other stipulations regarding criminal records, regarding 5 years of service, regarding 3 years of residency and things of that nature. So what is our kind of process to execute and enforce? And basically understanding, you know, why do we have laws if we feel that the laws are efficient, which I do feel the laws to become a naturalized citizen are not as efficient as they can be, but I feel that we have laws in place to work with, not to work around. So ultimately, I would make the recommendation that we move to have some type of committee made up of key stakeholders that are identified by the council members to have a further conversation and to document this process so that all the town citizens can understand, how did we get here? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? And what's the end goal? So yeah, and the comment regarding the military service, 1 year, that helps you get to the national service. So I'm at 3:07, so I will stop.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. Why should we allow women to vote?
Well, that is now passed. So
No, but
that went through.
But I'm asking why. I'm not asking whether it passed or not. Why?
Are
should
they a
we-
citizen?
Why should we allow women to
Are they a
vote?
citizen?
My question is, why
It's a
should-
born, if you're a citizen of the United States, it
why-
is a natural,
Sorry, sir, I'm asking, why should we allow women to vote?
because they're a citizen.
No, I'm not asking for their immigration status.
No, that
I'm asking-
you asked for a
asking-
response. I
I'm
gave you my
asking-
response. I'm
well,
not
they
giving
were
you a response
citizens,
that you want.
actually, they were citizens and they were not allowed to vote. Why? Why should we have
Certain
given
people
them the right
of
to
race,
vote?
color, and background were not allowed to vote until what, the
Why
15th
should we have
Amendment?
allowed them to vote?
Because they were citizens. They went through the process.
Why should we, what process?
So if I'm a national born citizen and our constitution was based off of all national citizens should have the right to vote. However, they excluded a certain group because of color who were still born here. You're a citizen based off the constitution.
But
Are you
why?
not?
Why should we allow people that were black to vote? Why should we have allowed women to vote? Why should we, why? What's the rationale behind that?
Like I said,
I'm not
it's
talking
based-
about immigration status.
I'm
asking
I'm
why.
talking about the law.
I'm
talking
asking
about the
why,
law
the rationale, why?
because it is
Okay.
law.
All right, thank you.
That-
Go ahead.
Mayor.
Real quick, I've been trying to find a place to insert this. This isn't my debate to have. I will, to answer your question about the administrative side of it, once the charter amendment, if it passes, then the administration, myself being the administrator, would put together rules. We'll probably have to put it into an ordinance of exactly the set of guidelines that we would ask for, so that it is across the board efficient and you know, yeah, sorry, that was adorable.
Oh, no, that's fine.
But yeah, so we would, you know, set the guidelines of how the voting would, or how the registration process would work so that it is fair for everyone that would be registering under the new temporary, or not temporary, the what do we call it?
Referendum.
Supplemental voter registration
Okay.
registry. In accordance with the legal status of, though, there is an 1875 Supreme Court case that Minor versus Happersett, that the court actually ruled that citizenship has not in all cases been made a condition precedent to the enjoyment of the right of suffrage, validating voting laws in 9 states that allowed non-citizens to vote. So it is actually not a guaranteed thing that that you have to be a citizen to vote. There is a federal law that was passed later on that said that you have to be a US citizen to vote in federal elections. However, they allowed state law to determine. And Maryland is one of the only states, and this is why we have 11 communities that already have it, is one of the only states that has not enforced anything on the localities in regards to voting. It literally allows them to do exactly what they're asking for. So an example of this too is one of the communities that was mentioned earlier out of that 11 actually allows non-resident property owners to vote into their town. So that's, that's kind of an interesting concept as well.
So there's variation. That's
Yeah.
what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But there
the
is a Supreme
Constitution.
Court case that literally says that you don't have to be a citizen to vote.
Okay, that's fine. So the Constitution of Maryland, Section 1, Article 1, all elections shall be by ballot, exception as provided by Section A or Section 3 of Article. Every citizen of the United States of age 18 years or onward who is a resident of the state at the time of closing registration next preceding the election shall be entitled to vote in ward or election district. So, I mean, we can go back and forth by different precedents, by federal, by state, by, whatever we want to. I'm just trying to understand more of the reasoning. And what I'm hearing is, engagement. I am hearing
So
lack
I'm
of.
gonna,
Well,
I'm gonna just,
I'm almost done.
Okay.
I'm almost done. Lack of engagement by council members to not listen to their constituents. Those are still going to be there if you can vote or if you can't.
so I'll tell you why I ran to be the mayor. I ran because I didn't feel like Hispanics, Spanish speakers, non-English speakers were being listened to. And to be quite honest with you, they don't have to be listened to right now because they're not registered to vote. They're not allowed to vote. So each council member here, including myself, I don't have to listen to what they ask or what they want or what they need. We're doing this because I believe voting is a human right that everyone should have. If you live here and you have safety issues, property issues, concerns, there should be a vested interest with each and every single elected official here as to why they should be listened to. That doesn't exist. So I don't care if you're black, white, purple, green. If you live here, your voice should be heard, especially at the ballot for our local elections. It's a human right. Women should be allowed to vote because their needs need to be heard by men, actually by everyone. Black people should be allowed to vote because their needs and their concerns should be heard by everyone. White people should be allowed to vote for the same reason. That's why it's important. I don't care if they're citizens or not. We have been allowed, because of home rule in the state of Maryland, to expand voting, democracy to people who live in municipalities. We've been working on this. I've been working on this for the past 2 years. It didn't just come out of nowhere. And it might have been work done even longer than that. I've been involved for 2 years. I ran, I knocked on 450 doors, and I made my case. And most people agreed with me. Surprisingly enough, most people, when they opened their door to me, agreed with me. That's why we want to expand voting to everyone who lives here, because we want their voices to be heard, because they own property here, because they should have a voice in what happens. They should have a voice in who gets elected and who represents them. Same thing for women, same thing for gay people, same thing for straight people, trans people, period. So why we're doing this now is because I ran on it, because people want to vote, and I believe they have the right to vote. I'm not going to delay this anymore. We've given people opportunity to talk. We've given people opportunity to come to meetings. And I do believe that it's been a loud minority that unfortunately doesn't feel like they want to expand the right to vote to all their neighbors. And that makes me sad. That's why we should give people the right to vote.
So for human rights, safety issues not being heard by leadership of the town, basically
Same
not
reason,
caring,
same reason why we should give you the opportunity to vote. Same reason.
but I'm a citizen, so
I
this
don't care
doesn't
about your
affect-
citizenship status. If you were not a
That's
citizen,
not fair.
same
That is
reason why I
not
would give you
fair
the right to vote is why everyone should have the right to vote, period.
to try to call out a specific
That is fair.
demographic.
When we go back to this top, you said Hispanics and Spanish speakers were not listened to. Is this predominantly being pushed by a certain group, or is it all non-English speakers that we're trying to afford opportunities for?
It's anyone that is not able to vote.
Okay.
Okay, are we good?
Mr.
All
Barr
right.
had a comment,
Mr. Barr?
and there's another Zoom person too.
Well, Keith, I want to say.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like the speaker to identify himself for the record.
So this is Keith Brooks, Ward 3.
Mr. Brooks, thank you very much.
No worries, sir.
Mayor?
I love you guys so much. I'm here, right? I will tell you this. I heard a lot of people assuming the renters, homeowners, and business owners are not documented people. They do pay taxes. They do own homes. They do own business. They do hire other residents and other non-citizens. So if people don't understand the renters, any tax that is increased on it is basically built upon the rent. We're not understanding what renters really are. And I'll tell you this, for CMA Rainier, we reduced the tax, and I went to renters and said, hey, do you got a reduction because we reduced taxes? And you know what they said to me? Absolutely not. We continue getting the increase. And then we decided to be like, oh, then we can do that. Then we need to directly help you because you're not going to do it. I also will say this. A lot of our cities are building the backs of people that are renting. The city of Marraine, as an example, is 2/3 apartment building owners. And the reality is home ownership in our cities is far away from what it used to be. Most of us wouldn't be able to buy a house now because our houses now are $500,000 and up, which means that that limits even who could be considered a homeowner. But I will say this, we need to start putting like the haves and the have-nots, the people that now have U.S. citizenship. At one point, Native Americans were here and everybody else came, right? Plenty of people are Native American to this land. I am, whether you realize it or not. But then yet I will not sit here and say, because I'm Native and you're not, my rights are bigger than yours, and therefore you all should not be conquering my land, right? We welcome people. We make sure they know that this is part of their land. So yes, they're taxpayers. Yes, we want to make sure they're welcome. And I will say this to you, it is time. The reason why women were not allowed to vote for many years was because other people were making the decisions where they felt they were not smart, they were not capable, and they wouldn't contribute anything. Same thing happened for pretty much every race that you put on it. And like I said to you previously, now it's our turn to be able to be those speakers, right? How many people spoke up and said no? Whether you're a woman, whether you're Black, whether you're Asian, whether LGBTQ, we will make sure that your rights are respected. Had those people not spoken, where will we be now? I'll tell you this, I wouldn't be mayor, and looking at the very diverse, beautiful council that you guys have, none of you guys will be sitting here, even as elected officials. So you need to decide now what side of history you're on. Either the side of the history that is gonna tell 10 years, 20 years from now, I sat there and had the opportunity to do it and I didn't, or said I took a stand and did it because others also did it for me. And I'll tell you why this is personal for me. I was 10 years old when I came to this country. I was born through a civil war. My whole childhood was in civil war. The United States was sending millions of dollars to my country to annihilate people like me. People like my families, whether they were teachers, union workers, people that spoke and said like, this is not right. Somebody stood in a mic and said, you cannot continue killing those people. That needs to stop. Their human rights need to be on it. And that started to create change and people starting to speak up. And that's the reason why I was able to survive a war that lasted 12 years. 12 years of my life were during war. I have marks in my body that they don't always would love to care to show, and I would never bring this to anybody else. And I say this, if I'm not here speaking the same way somebody spoke, I would be in death. And that's the same thing for many of our residents that come from suffering a lot in their home countries, and they have found home here. We have welcomed them the way other people welcome us. So now once I ask, which side of history do you want to be on? On the side of the history, that's what? Women didn't get the right to vote over 100 years. It's been less than that, right? So you choose to stand where you're at. Coming out day was today. How many students have put up a flag? How many people have said something? Some people said that is not your business to put. And I said, what? Oh, yes, it is. Because my residents are killing themselves and they feel oppressed by people feeling that they're not welcome in our community. So it's my right to speak. So social values might look different to anybody else, but you also need to realize that you cannot just look out for yourself, because at the end of the day, the story says what? When they came for me, nobody was here to speak to me. So that's the reason why it's important for you to speak up and say something. If not, this will continue going on. And it's important for people to know that they're welcome. The same way we are here representing them, the same way they pay their taxes, the same way they have built this community, because this community was built by people that were not given a right to vote for many years. It didn't matter that they had a land, it didn't matter that they worked, it didn't matter that they paid taxes, it didn't matter their human rights were violated. It didn't matter at all. But people fought and stood up to make sure that right was given to them because it was deserved. And that's the reason why history continues to change. And that's the reason why this room is as diverse as it is. Because the reality is most of us wouldn't be welcome in this space, least alone be elected officials. So that's the reason why I tell people, go back 20, 30 years. Basically, it's the same scenarios, the same argument, just put whatever title you want to put in front of it. And we're feeling the same thing because the arguments don't change. Renters versus owners, who has and who has not. How do you justify people giving rights? What should we expand democracy to others? And it's us and versus the other. Let's not forget that the others used to be like us and they still look like us. Because when I walk down the street, not many people care that I'm mayor. I've been pulled over just for driving while Latina, right? It didn't matter. It did not matter how many titles and how many degrees and everything else I had. It mattered that they wanted to do this. And that's what's important for me to run, for me to change what the police, was to become community involved. And I'll say this, at the end of the day, others spoke for us and that's what we're here. Now it's our turn to do the same thing for others to make sure that we are inclusive that others were on, because they were in the winning side, right? They didn't have to include us. But many of them do choose to make sure that our rights were respected. And that's all, the community members are asking for. Maybe not all of them are here because they're feeling a certain way about having even this discussion, but put themselves in their shoes. How will you feel if people were discussing your rights as a woman, as an LGBT member, as a Black member, as an Asian person, as any person, right? You wouldn't feel welcome. You'd be like, this is my art, I read them, and why do I have to even prove about it? So I'll stay with that, and thank you guys for hearing our words, and please continue doing wonderful work. And I've always been very supportive of this, and I look forward to you guys talking and getting through where it needs to be, but we'll definitely be able to grow and expand what democracy looks like, and depends the ability for people to come together. So
Can I ask
thank you.
why is it important to vote?
The ability to vote gives you a right to give a voice. At least for me, it felt like those sitting in our positions will hear, whether it was the youth, whether it was a parent, whether it was not. So to me, it's like the direct democracy. Direct democracy has importance to me, right? My country was in a civil war. People were being killed for expressing their feelings. They were not allowed to be voted. And even right now in the United States, you have voter suppression. It depends how you looked at it, but it continues, right? So to me, it's like that continues to happen. But at no point do you sit and go like out there and go, oh, you don't have documents? I will not take your taxes. You're just here, right? So to me, voting means you have a voice, you have ability to be able to determine in many ways the taxes that you put towards the city, right? And what they're being decided on, because you are a contributing member of this community. Being taken away from the ability to vote, that means like you are not important, you're second less. And at a certain point, are we okay with having second-class citizens within our cities? The answer should be no. The answer should be no way. There shouldn't be second-class citizens in these towns, any of our towns, especially so many of us fulfill people of color, fulfill with minorities, fulfill with people that were working class people, regardless of what color your skin is, that build upon these towns. So that's the reason why voting to me is important, because that means that I have the ability to choose for the funds I'm putting into the city. I am capable to decide, I'm smart enough to do it, and stop minimizing me who I am as a person. Because if 2/3, 2/5, 1/5, 1/8, or 0 of equivalent of a person, that's what it means no voting. That means you're telling me I'm worth 0 to your town. So to me, it's like we fought so hard not to get to that. That's what voting to me is important, and that's what it represents. I am one person, one vote. That ability taken away from me, that means this is what I'm equivalent to you as a city. Nothing but this. And that's a big fact, 0. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so Adam, Joy, then the 2 gentlemen that are standing at the podium.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I'm gonna time myself as well, but I just wanted to say, like, I just want to thank anyone who spoke either for or against, and I feel like it's helpful to hear previously I hadn't heard a lot of opinions against it. I was like, is anyone even on the other side? And I'm still not haven't heard any really clear argument, but just to reiterate, why is this important? I'm a citizen. All my family has been citizens. I've never, but I think, when I think about my neighbors, it does rub me the wrong way that some of my neighbors are maybe codified as a less than, and that's not really okay with me. And so you could think of this as maybe on a spectrum from purely symbolic to practical. And I would say that this also, you can't really separate the two, that these symbols do have a practical impact. And that if we want to say that we are an inclusive town, that everyone's welcome here, I don't think we can really lag behind the towns around us. And it's kind of a little bit embarrassing to me that it's gone this far, that we haven't managed to come to a really clear consensus on this sooner. But it is, but I'm remain open to hearing people out. But I think we just had an election. Plenty of people voted. All of them were citizens, or and the top 2 vote getters were the 2 Hispanic women that ran, and the incumbent came in last. And this issue was super duper salient in that election. Really high turnout relative to prior elections. So I think we've pretty well litigated this. I'm interested in hearing more, but we can reverse it later if you don't like it, I guess. But and then I would say, as a practical issue, if you think just in terms of what is the situation in which this really comes into play, and that's where my preferred candidate as a citizen doesn't win, and maybe I get outvoted by some other supposedly non-citizen person, resident, a fellow neighbor of mine, has a different view and votes for a different candidate. Is that an outcome that I want or don't want? And I would say that before knowing that this is going to happen, I would say that this is an outcome that I do want, even though my candidate gets outvoted. That's a good thing for me, I remain open to the opinions of my neighbors and that they're seeing different things that I'm not seeing. And we're coming together as a community and we're getting information that and different perspectives that aren't really immediately available to us as individuals. I think that is really important process. And so I think we want everyone to be like up to the same level, to come together as equals. And I think that's really the main thing that is pushing me towards being in favor of this. I think it's good for the community as a whole. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. Joy?
Hi, Mayor Cassanias. I just want to say that I'm actually offended by the statement that you said that you feel that it's a certain demographic that is against. I'm not trying to misquote what you said, but you said when Keith was trying to finish what he was saying. I think that we're just trying to understand it, and we're trying to understand what's going on. And when trying to ask questions, now it seems like we're trying to be like we're against it. We just want to be informed. You know what I'm saying? That's all that it is. And I had to say that because that's offensive to when someone is not educated or when someone is not just trying to understand what's taking place because you don't know. And you're just trying to find out, and it could be a better way that maybe we can word it or that we can ask it. But I just don't want it to be that like it's like, you know, one demographic against the next. We just want to be informed.
So, Ms. Williams, sorry. It wasn't meant to target like a race. So when I say loud minority, I mean a small group of people. Period. A small group of people that is loud.
Okay.
But it's not based in any type of demographical attributes at all.
Because at the end of the day, we all are trying to come together as a community. And it's like, I don't want us to be walking down the street looking at each other like, oh, you know, they feel this way, because it's not like that. We just want to come to a clear consensus and a clear understanding of everything that's going on. So I just wanted to say that, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, no, and thank you for saying that. I'm sorry if it came across that way. That's not what I meant at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What I will say is I'm trying to figure out why in Colmar Manor it's such a contentious issue.
Yeah.
And then I also am realistic about our communities, not just here in Colmar Manor, but in Mount Rainier, in Brentwood, in Edmonston, in Bladensburg, in Cheverly. There are tensions. There are.
And with you saying that, you helping me learn something new, because that's something I wasn't even aware of. It's such an issue. Yeah. You know, it's such a problem. So it's appreciated that you have a passion for it, and that's good, because you should have a passion for what you care for. So you're also helping to bring awareness to that. I didn't know that it was such a problem in so many different jurisdictions as well. So.
Yeah, but thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, because
that's how it came across.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want to, you know.
We don't want
anyone to think about, because that's not, yeah.
Thank you.
And it's kind of a buzzword anyways. But I see what you mean, so I think I'm gonna cut that out of my vocabulary.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Podium.
I really didn't want to talk today about this. Greg, thank you for bringing up that point about the federal government and the difference between state, federal, and local. A little history here. In the United States, it was the majority of states and local government non-citizens voted up to the 20s. It's in the late 1900s. The late late 10s, early 20s, where that started to shift. When there was a larger migration of other, that happens to be at the same time period where there's a larger migration of people from non-European background. That's when there was a shift of laws for state and local government to stop or not recognize non-citizen voting. Prior to that, non-citizen voting was the norm. Citizen voting was historically only a federal thing. The federal government recognized citizen voting for federal affairs for citizens. Prior to that, it was up to the state, up to the local governments. Again, as Greg pointed out, we live in Maryland that yes, you have to be a US citizen for state votes. And I believe also, but I believe they leave it open for both at the county and at the local government for them to choose. I'm not sure about the county, but I do know about this local. And that's where we're here for. Now, why is it important for everybody to be able to vote who's a resident of a community? If you don't have a vote, you don't have a voice. If you don't have a voice, you're not in the room. And this, I think, every person on this in the council and the majority of the people sitting around in front of us, it comes from that history. There was a period of time, not too long ago, if you were African American, you had no voice. Not too long ago, if you were a woman, you had no voice. If you were gay, no voice. Yeah, sure, as long as you kept it in the closet, you had a voice. As soon as it came out, you might have even gone to jail. Voting is a voice, and a voice of power. To reframe, to refuse this, when you can grant this to other residents to have a voice, they become part of the community. It's a point of dignity. It's a point of human respect. I remember a council member who said they don't want to be gatekeeping democracy here. And that is what happens. Then there's the argument, oh, we should bring it up to referendum. I'm going to use the same example. Everybody here, the majority of all of our council members, wouldn't be able to vote if it was left up to a referendum. If we left up the referendum that African Americans could vote, they wouldn't be able to vote because the majority would vote no. If we left it up to referendum, if women could vote, they wouldn't vote either. And the same story with same-sex marriage. If it was left up to referendum, like in California, they couldn't get married. These are civil rights issues. This is dignity, human dignity. If we claim that we live in a representative democracy, this should be a no-brainer. If we can grant this power, we should grant it, just like our neighboring towns. Just like right now, DC is discussing the same exact thing. This isn't DC. We're just 1,600 people trying to live together. DC is trying to pass this. This is something I think everybody should really think about and absorb. Should we not let somebody else vote? What is that? Not let somebody else vote? Not give somebody else a voice? Who are we? Seriously, who are we? Thank you.
Mayor.
Question first. Are we keeping to the 3 minutes or is that just out?
I'm being flexible with the 3 minutes, but yeah.
Mayor.
Okay. All right. So the comment was made about welcoming people to the community. I came here in August. I've basically given all of my neighbors, didn't know who they were. I've given them all brownies, and you can ask every one of them, Doug included,
He got brownies, said he loved them. So I feel that I've tried to be a welcoming citizen of the town. And I'm concerned about that piece of not being welcomed into the community. So I would like the opportunity to meet more individuals who feel like they have not been welcomed to the community. And I'd like to have that dialogue and engagement on how can we improve that. Those are long-term solutions that I feel when you have that dialogue. By giving someone the right to vote, yes, they have the access to vote the leadership of the mayor, they have the right to vote the leadership of the council members, but that still doesn't mean that they're going to go have a conversation and a dialogue with their neighbor. That still doesn't mean that they're going to walk down the street and say good morning to their neighbor and be neighborly. So that's one thing. I have about 1 more minute. The previous mayor, yes. So both mayors that came went through the process, to my understanding, to be a citizen. So, correct? Okay, so that's what I understood was what happened. So to that point, if they went through the process to become a mayor, or to become a natural citizen, how can we help our brothers and sisters who have not gone through that process? How can we improve that? And to the other point of African-Americans and other minorities, yes, you've had African-Americans that not until civil rights where they allowed that opportunity. You had women not until the suffrage movement in 1920s that didn't have that opportunity. So you've had all of these disenfranchised groups. So you can start from Jews being disenfranchised, Irish being disenfranchised, African-Americans being disenfranchised, and going through the legal process to obtain that right. So I'm just trying to understand, and that's why I was asking for a committee or a better repository of information of how did we get here? Why are we doing it? And what's the benefit that we're gonna achieve from it? So, but that's all.
Yeah, go.
So I'm just gonna respond real quick saying that the ability for gays to have rights and to be able to get married was through blood and death, not legally, through protest, through organizing the way we have, showing up and constantly speaking truth to power. Gays, same thing with Black people. They were hosed down, they were murdered, they were lynched. That's not a legal process.
But they still went through, they had
I'm
the civil
sorry.
rights, they
I'm
had the suffrage
sorry.
movement, they had the
I really,
San
you know,
Francisco-
I just don't agree with you. I think it's, I'm honestly like, I'm trying to find like where you're coming from, but I don't get it. So you're saying disenfranchisement when we have the opportunity to afford people a right to vote is okay because they're not citizens.
So I started this conversation of, I want to seek to understand. So I want to understand all the background. And the main comment I've heard is people who
That's
are
not the
not.
main
citi-
comment
All
that
right,
you've
so
heard.
some of the comments that I've heard are people who are not citizens, do not feel welcome. They don't feel like they have a voice. Having the right to vote
That
is
should be
having a
the first
voice.
thing that you say, though. The fact that they don't have a voice is the most, if all you got from this is that people are not feeling welcome, which is still a big deal.
No, I was going down my list.
I think the biggest takeaway for me, because trust me, like it took me a while too to come around to this, is that people don't have a voice or a say in their community. And I bet you don't, and you can disagree with me. When we all went and door knocked, the doors that we targeted were the registered voters. That's not representative of our community at all.
Why? I mean, you can still get to know your neighbors, and that's what makes a town by knowing your neighbors, knowing the kids, knowing what sports they play, knowing what they like to do.
It's not an if or. It's not an if we get to know our neighbor and then if we should give them a right to have a voice in their community. All those things matter. They're all important.
And all I'm saying is I like to understand in more detail, because what I'm hearing right now is a lot of emotion and a lot of this is a civil right and a lot of multiple perspectives, but I haven't I just need more time to have more debates with people who are educated about the topic that I can learn from. That's
Yeah.
basically what I'm asking.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
And you can make that time.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
Seek to understand.
thank you. Mr. Barr, did you want to say something? Okay, he stepped away. Okay, so I'm gonna close public comments. Unless the council, oh, okay, Mayor.
And now I'll just say this. I'm a US citizen, but I 100% understand that that's a privilege. And it's not the reality of everybody else, especially some of residents that have been living here more than 30 years under temporary protected status. Kids that came here that they have been looking for, a way for them to become residents, right? And they can. Either they falsifies, and get into like fake marriages to try to lie about it. But I do my best to check my privilege at the door. And I wish other people would too. Because the ability to become citizens is not just financial, but the reality is not everybody can do it. And it's not a matter of being a Latina. Immigrants or non-citizens are people that have passports, that are residents that financially cannot afford being citizens, are people that came here as children. So non-citizens have a different shape on it, but I know my privilege. And I ask others to check their privilege at the door. Because the reality is we're not talking one-to-one. Yeah, I'm a homeowner. Yes, I'm a business owner. Yes, I'm an elected official. But those are various privileges, boxes that I have that others don't have because they haven't been given the opportunity. Financially, they cannot afford it, or it cannot be doable. And I'll tell you the same thing comes for Rocio. We were put in a circumstance specifically that we were able to become US citizens, both of us taking a different path, right? But it's a privilege that many people still right now don't have. And I will urge people to keep remembering that. And to the gentleman, I make myself available if you'd like to go to my office, so I could come to your house to talk to you through all of this, because I do believe about talking to community. I have 9,000 people in my community and we made it happen. So by saying that, I will tell you, since 2017, we have been able to vote openly. And my thing is like some of the things that people thought were gonna happen, then they realized they didn't happen. It was a lot of scare tactics and a lot of scare fears of the unknown, and that's okay. But if you're welcome, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. But I will say to you, I 100% know that's a privilege that I have, that other people don't have. And that's the reason why I'm here. Why would I be here being a US citizen, living from a different city, having a little child, right? I have no business being here. But I think it's important for my residents and the family members of my residents that live here in Colmar Manor to know that I'm speaking and I'm here as an example of like what has happened next door. So you're more than welcome to study what's happening in Rainier, Brentwood, and the other 11 municipalities. And all of us are different. We all have different mayors. We all have different like council members, right? And this is not like you guys are not the first off. There's many people that have been doing it even longer than me. We're talking about just the ones currently, College Park and Tacoma Park. They've been talking, they've been doing, some of them have been doing it longer than we have. So that tells you there's a story if you would like to learn from any of those cities. And they're not all Latino heavy or like, African-American heavy or immigrant heavy, but they felt that was the right to do to even welcome some, in many cases, minority within the group. So I will give you my number and I'm happy to talk to you. And Monica and the rest of the council, I'm happy to also be here if like you guys need somebody to talk to about how our process has been and how transparent and how inclusive it is. And maybe that will allow for some of the questions that you have to be answered, but also seeing it that it's been going on for, I'm not the oldest town that's been able to vote non-citizen. I'm actually like me, Highsville and us is like in a group of us have like technically a couple of the newest ones. And there's people that have been doing it even longer, but they could give you tracking history and information about this happening. And that way, like if you have any questions and concern, you'll do it. So I know I'm about my 3 minutes, but thank you guys so much.
Thank you, man. I'd like to piggyback you if I could. About privilege. I really appreciate you, Keith, for speaking on the points that many people had, but were unable to speak on. A lot of things you said, people were speaking emotionally, but not providing you with substance for you to really understand And a lot of conversations that I had with people speaking out against this were speaking emotionally and not providing me with substance to understand where they were coming from against the issue. Me speaking personally about privilege, I'm the youngest of 5 children from Jamaica, and I was the only one born here in America. So I got to see my brothers and sisters struggle with getting documented, just struggle with school, struggle with everything. And it took years for them to do that, to provide them with rights to be in America. Getting made fun of at school, trying to get the language, because you got to understand, you got to get the language to take the testing. My grandmother still doesn't have her documentation because she can't take it. She can't read it. So these are issues that people may go through and why it's difficult for them to become a citizen in America. But I do feel the points that you brought to the table are very important to understand for people that already have the privilege and to expand that vote. So I appreciate you speaking.
Thank you. Okay, can we get into old business, please? So next item is item number 13, the ethics ordinance.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to, as the original motioner, to put this into consideration. I would like to move to table this until the next work session in November.
Councilmember Harden, I second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Next item is the purchasing ordinance.
So just a reminder of what this is. The purchasing ordinance helps clarify some ambiguity, I guess you would say, and what town officials can and cannot spend. Essentially, it allows for purchases that are appropriated and budgeted for. Department heads can expend up to $5,000 on those items. If the purchases are involving expenditures totaling more than 5,000 but less than 25,000, then it would come to council for approval, and we would get 3 quotes. And then all purchases over 25,000 would be subject to a written contract following an evaluation of sealed bids obtained by the town, etc. And this was just this. Nothing's changed from the work session when you've discussed this.
Okay, I'll make that motion to pass the purchasing ordinance O-02-2023.
Councilmember Harden, I second that motion.
Sorry. Is the number of that ordinance correct? Yes. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
was that an aye, Irina? Put a thumbs up.
Yes, it was aye. Aye.
Ward 3,
Abstain.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Okay, so the next one is the charter amendment supplemental voter registration R012022. Is there anyone that would like to introduce this?
One slight correction on that. It is. I lost my paper. In the top whereases, I provided you all a sheet, and this was also on the table just for everyone's reference. They are not pertinent to the actual resolution itself of the clauses of actually enacting the law or the charter resolution. However, the second whereas, it says town of Colmar Manor are foreign born. It should read and of that nearly 51%. So it's just substituting that the document that I gave you as the resolution stating the of that. No, you could just make the motion. In fact, make the motion for the substituted, just because I.
Okay, I'll make the motion for the substituted resolution R-1 2023.
Is that the correct number? Because it's, oh, is it?
It's a resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this says 2022.
I didn't read it right.
Oh, no, you have the right one. You have the right one. I have the wrong one. Sorry.
Councilmember Harden, I'll second that motion.
For the,
Second.
Word 1,
Aye.
word 2,
Sorry, what were you voting on? I'm sorry, I didn't get that part.
the charter amendment resolution for the supplemental voter registration.
Okay, abstain.
Irina, can you turn your camera on?
Okay, abstain.
Word 3,
Abstain.
aye.
Mayor votes aye. It passed. Okay, so you can take a look at our charter and the amendment procedures on the Town of Colmar Manor website. So what happens next is we have 50 days. We have to post this publicly. If the residents would like this to go to referendum and you do not agree with what was just passed, you can go through the process. You need to collect 20% of registered voters in the Town of Colmar Manor. Collect the signatures of them. And once you submit that, it can go to referendum. But after those 50 days, if that process isn't followed, it becomes the law of Colmar Manor. So I was not expecting this. I kind of thought, I've worked hard for it. I'm very emotional about it. So as I mentioned to you, the reason I decided to run for office of mayor was to ensure that everyone's voice was heard, Black, white, Filipino, Indian, Jamaican, Bolivian, Ukrainian, so that they can have representation. I made my case when I campaigned and knocked on doors. I was blunt, and about 99% of the people I spoke to of all different backgrounds agreed that this should be done. I ran to address and provide solutions to different issues in our town. One of them was expanding the vote to everyone who lives in Colmar Manor, regardless of immigration status. I would do it if gay rights were suppressed. I would do it if religious freedoms were suppressed, if women's rights were suppressed. Black lives matter in my house and in our town. These are values I am instilling in my daughter and values that I live by. A long habit of doing nothing, a long habit of doing something wrong doesn't make it right. The right to vote is a human right, not something you earn or something decreed based on where you were born. It is and should be a right where you live. I was not the only one advocating on behalf of disenfranchised voters in the town of Colmar Manor. Morena was knocking on doors. She was collecting signatures and she was organizing residents. Phil was walking, which I just found out, with council members and was calling council members. Adam showed up, wrote testimony. Shelby called council people. Jackie, Sandra, Carolina, Teresa, Gladys, organizations like CASA and Chispa were all involved in this. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm glad that everyone will have a right to have a voice and a seat at the table. So thank you. Okay, so we have the next item is the resolution recognizing Paul Bogle. Do we have it or, okay. Do we need to sign any of these things? Okay. So resolution recognizing Paul Bogle, which resolution is this one? Okay, so RO2 2023. Oh. Actually, do you want to just read the first paragraph? Yeah.
Town of Colmar Manor, Maryland, Resolution R02, 2023. A resolution of the mayor and town council of the town of Colmar, Maryland, Colmar Manor, Maryland, recognize the historic contribution of Mr. Paul Bogle, a national hero of Jamaica, and his relentless tenacity in fighting oppression and slavery in Jamaica and around the world, and advancement of anti-slavery movement, and further recognizing the people throughout the world, including in Colmar Manor, continue to fight inequality and oppression. And this is the resolution R020, 2023. Oh, boy. Yes, and I motion to pass resolution R02, 2023.
Councilmember Bowles will second that.
Word 1,
Aye.
word 2,
Aye.
word 3,
Aye.
word 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. We have another resolution that wasn't on the agenda, but we need to add it. It's for Filipino Heritage Month. So is it okay if I add that to the agenda?
Councilmember Bowles will motion to accept that amendment to the agenda, Mayor.
I'll second that, Councilmember Harding.
Word 1,
Aye.
word 2,
Aye.
word 3,
Aye.
word 4.
Aye.
Okay, so if you want to go ahead and read it.
You want me to?
Oh.
Do you want to? You sure? You can. I know.
Melinda Mendoza, please read it, please.
Okay, Mayor and the Town Council of Colmar Manor, Resolution R03-2023, Filipino Heritage Month. A resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of Colmar Manor recognizing October as Filipino Heritage Month in Colmar Manor, Maryland. And to now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Town Council of Colmar Manor to recognize October as Filipino Heritage Month and encourage all residents and town staff to celebrate the Colmar Manor Filipino community and acknowledges Filipino Americans and their historic contributions to the nation. Thank you. Oh, adopted.
Word 1.
Aye.
Oh, someone needs to second it.
Oh.
I'll second it, Councilmember Bowles.
Word 1,
Aye.
word 2,
Aye.
word 3,
Aye.
word 4.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Okay.
Thank
So if you didn't know, Colmar Manor has a large Filipino community. I think Silver Spring has well, Montgomery County has a large one. We're second. This little town has a lot of Filipino families that live here, and I think that's beautiful. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know it unless you lived here. So I'm really happy that that's something that we'll be celebrating for years to come. Okay. Okay, number 18, Neighborhood Design Center contract. I'm handing over 18, 19, 20, 21 over to our town administrator.
But you take those. Okay, this is the contract with the Neighborhood Design Center. They had submitted a proposal. This is for the design work of Laracy Park that's paid for from the state open space grant. So it's budgeted, well, I shouldn't say that, right? It's not budgeted for, they have to. I believe actually, no, I put that in there, didn't I? Yes, so there's actually two motions that need to be made on this. The contract's for $9,500. It's technically not budgeted for, but it's paid for by the grant. So we've accepted the grant. So we need you to move to allocate the $33,000 to the revenue account, program open space Laracy Park, and then and expense account, program open space Laracy Park. It's number 6 in here in your cheat sheet. But that's also if you want to accept the contract, it's $9,500 for that design.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, I, Councilmember Harden. I move to approve the Neighborhood Design Center contract for the design of Laracy Park in the amount of $9,500. Do I do the second motion as well? Or do we have to do one at a time?
Separate.
Okay.
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, I'll second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Abstain?
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Now the second one.
So I'll make the motion to move to allocate $33,000 to revenue account, program open space, Laracy Park, and expense account, program one space, Laracy Park.
Aye, Councilmember Harden. Second that motion.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Abstain?
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
All right. Then the next item is the street and sidewalk repair survey proposal. We just received that this afternoon, so I failed to make the copy of it, but it's just a number on a piece of paper. It's 12,000. 1,200. Oh my God. Woo, it's been a long day. $1,200 to walk, to do a survey of all the town sidewalks and streets to give us, I don't want to say it's not a cost estimate, but an estimate of what needs to be done to where to fix and what proposals we should look at. And it is with a local-ish company that's going to do it. And this is part of the ARPA funding. It would be taken out of that streets and sidewalk repair money that you've set aside. I should add, just in case there is any questions, you all put aside $400-some thousand for street and sidewalk repair, but there's no plan. And so this is to show us where the curbs need replaced, which sidewalks are all cracked up, if there's specific road potholes that maybe need fixed, or even leveling out a road, whatever it may be. If there's issues with the roadways, that's what this survey's for. Otherwise, it's us town staff just piecemealing it and saying, yeah, let's do this or do that. So it's from a independent professional standpoint.
So can I just say I'll make that motion stated?
Yeah, just to approve the
To approve
survey
this
work, yes,
street and sidewalk repair survey proposal.
up to $1,200.
Up to $1,200. From DIR Construction.
That's good.
Councilmember Harden, second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
All right. One more, well, a couple more. So the next one is authorizing expenditure of ARPA funds for the Brentwood Volunteer Fire Department. This was one of the projects you had discussed out of ARPA funding. We just need to get a motion to actually spend the money and send them the money. However, there is a question. The original budgeted amount was $3,000. That was in the budget you all passed in July. But then later on, you increased it to 25,000 as part of the ARPA projects. And so there's kind of a confusion of, do you want to spend 3,000, 25,000, or 28,000? Yeah. So the motion just needs to be made. Yeah, for the expenditure of that amount. Do they need to move the money over? Or is that part of the year? Yeah, so you just need to make that motion.
Councilmember Harding, I make a motion to approve the amount of 25,000, the expenditure for Brentwood Volunteer Fire Department.
Councilmember Bowles will second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
All right. Next one, hopefully this is an easy one for you. Our next council meeting falls on election day, and the town hall is used for a polling location. Therefore, we need to reschedule the meeting. So I'm just asking for it to be moved to the next week, November 15th at 7 p.m. as I was corrected. So I just need a motion for that.
I will make the motion to move our November meeting to, our November work session. Is that correct? Yes. Town meeting. Okay, I'll make the motion to move our November 8th town meeting to November 15th to accommodate the voting, the use of the building for voting
At 7 p.m.
at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Councilmember Harding, I second that motion.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Next is Mr. Baden.
Passing on down the line, I guess. Two more items. These are the two items that I discussed during the treasurer's report. The first one is you have a spreadsheet that has proposed budget adjustments for the fiscal year 22 budget. If you are looking at that report, you'll see 4 columns. The first column is the actual final figures for all of our revenue and expenditure accounts for fiscal year 22. So this is the year that just ended, June 30th of 2022. During the year, we try our best to stay within the budgeted amounts for, our revenue and expenditure items. At the end of the year, we usually do a budget adjustment to bring any accounts that are over budget into compliance with what our charter says is to not exceed, expenditures should not exceed budget amounts. So in the spreadsheet that you have, the first column is the revenue or expense for the fiscal year. The second column is the budgeted amount of revenue and expenditure for the year. And the third column is the amount we are over and under budget. And then the fourth column are the proposed adjustments to cover the accounts that are over budget. So, I attempt to pull the amounts from the that were over budget from other expenditure accounts within the departments that those occurred. So most cases you'll see that has taken place. So I don't want to go through all of the items on here, but if you have any specific questions as to why the expenditure might have occurred or over expenditure, I could attempt to answer those. If you don't have any questions, then the motion would be to approve the budget adjustments as proposed by the clerk treasurer, in the spreadsheet supplied.
I will say that, and it was hard to hear you because your mic's in front of your laptop. But the only question that I had was the statement you said was the adjustments for where the value was over, or our budget amount was over. you're just taking away from where it was under to supply to those budget amounts.
Correct.
Yeah, anyone have any discussion that they have? If not, I will motion to approve the budget adjustments for FY 2022. Councilmember Harder.
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, and I'll second that.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Thank you. Last item that I have is, the budget adjustments for fiscal year 23. So those would be the current fiscal year. And what I'm asking you to do is to approve the dollar amount. So if you remember when we approved the American Rescue Plan spending plan, you approved the actual program, project, or service and the amount associated with each one. So, we had a spreadsheet that came up for the use of the $1,313,675. So you've approved the use of the funds for these purposes, but we never put it into the budget because the approval of the plan was done after budget adoption. So the motion would be to appropriate the American Rescue Plan spending options into the categories approved at the amount stated. So none of these have changed. These were approved back in the beginning of July, which was after the budget, after the budget was approved. Now, once you put it into the budget, we would still have to bring projects forward to you in accordance with the purchasing policy that was just passed. So, you still have an option to approve those expenditures again if they're over $5,000. Anything under 5,000, which there's only a few accounts that fell into that, they would not need to come back to the council. So you get this is just put the money in, and then, as we go and expend money, just like we did for the fire department tonight, you would have, a second look at whether you still want to use it for those purposes. And also anytime during the year, if you want to reallocate the funding, you could do that as well. But this is, to fund what you had already approved back at the July town meeting. Excuse me. It would be to approve the funding for the American Rescue Plan Act spending projects for the American
Councilmember
Rescue
Melinda
Plan.
Mendoza, I'll make that motion stated. Thank you, Dan.
Good enough.
Councilmember Harder, I'll second that motion.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
That's all I got.
Okay, so we need to go into a closed session, but it's gonna be very quick. So what I am gonna propose is that we kick everyone that's here out, and if they want to wait for us, we're not gonna take long, maybe like 10 minutes. And I want to ask Mike to come in, if Mike is still here. I'll call him now. So the reason I'm proposing a closed executive session is for a personnel issue. So let's take a break, but I need someone to. Well, but then also to put the resolution to go ahead and go into closed session.
I will make the motion to go into closed session for a personnel matter. Thank you.
I'll second.
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, Second that.
So Ward 1 went to the bathroom. Ward 2,
Aye. Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. So we're taking a break, but then we're gonna kick everyone out and go into closed session. We're gonna take a 10-minute break.
What?